Welcome to the Art and Skill of Coaching, where I teach you how to coach. So today I want to talk about something that I think quietly limits a lot of coaches, especially coaches who are talented, intuitive, caring, and genuinely good with people. But I see a lot of these coaches struggle with consistency, scalability, and sustainability in their work. They end up feeling burned out, their income feels capped, and their impact feels uneven among their client caseload. And it's not because they're not capable, it's because they're coaching from the wrong place. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of coaches are coaching from energy or personal experience instead of from skill. They overly rely on being positive, being motivational, having great rapport, feeling inspired, leaning on their personal experience or being quote unquote on. And to be clear, none of that is bad, but it's surface level. And more importantly, it's just not sustainable. Because think about it. What happens when you're not feeling inspired, when you're not feeling energetic, when you're not feeling quote unquote on? What happens when you didn't sleep well the night before because your kid was up all night? What happens when you just had a lackluster session or a client fired you and then you have to jump straight into another session? What happens when life is just lifing? And this is important to really consider, because if your effectiveness as a coach actually depends on your mood, it depends on your energy or your personal enthusiasm, your coaching will be inconsistent, and inconsistency is what prevents coaches from scaling their impact and their income. And this is something I had to learn the hard way. When I was a therapist back in the day, I was seeing up to 12 clients a day, 5 to 6 days a week. I mean, I was grinding. I was working 3 therapist jobs as I built my business while simultaneously getting out of an 8-year relationship due to infidelity. There were days I remember bawling my eyes out in the car, feeling hopeless and so confused and not sure what the next day was going to look like, and then walking straight into a session. And what allowed me to still be effective and present and grounded and supportive wasn't my motivation, it wasn't my energy, it wasn't feeling inspired, it was my skill set. I knew how to show up professionally and still provide services, therapy, and coaching, regardless of how I felt, just like a doctor can treat a wound even when they're tired, even when they're anxious, or even mad at their partner. So I encourage you to think about, what does it actually mean to coach from skill? What it means is that you're not relying on your mood, your personal story, your inspiration, or your relationship with the client alone. Instead, you're relying on structures and frameworks that are proven to work. And I know some coaches hear the word structure and they immediately feel resistance. They think, oh, that dampens my intuition or it kills rapport. No, it doesn't. And the science shows otherwise. And if you don't believe me, reach out to me. I'll send you the research. Structure protects your informed intuition, and it provides safety, predictability, continuity, and energy conservation. This is good for both the coach and the client, and it allows you to coach better, not harder. And I think there are 2 main areas that you actually want structure in your coaching. You want structure in your sessions, and you want structure in your skills. So when we talk about structure in your sessions, you know how to manage a call. You know your call timing, your pacing, your flow. You never run over, you don't rush the ending, you're not winging it for every client. Then you also have structure with your skill set. You have proven frameworks. You have a lens to accurately and appropriately assess. You have a toolbox that you can reliably pull from. You're not reinventing the wheel every single session and guessing. You know what works. You've done it before many times. And when you coach from skill, both in your sessions and in your interventions, you're going to be able to coach more people with less energy. You're going to be able to coach different personalities. You're going to be able to coach when you're tired. You're going to be able to coach even when you don't quote unquote like the client, or when you and your client don't perfectly align. That's professionalism. That's being an effective coach, and that's what separates you in the saturated market. Another reason why this matters, I'm going to go off on a personal tangent really quickly, is because before we're coaches, we're humans, and we all have biases, we all have preferences, we all have things that we like and don't like, and it's important to know them and manage them so that they don't negatively impact the coaching, but we're not immune to it. I actually had a student inside of the Art and Skill of Coaching, one of our rounds, who had a favorite modality. She loved it. It worked for her. She used it every day, and she was good at it. But it didn't work for everyone. But she was using it in all of her programs, all of her coaching sessions, and her clients would get mixed results. And it's not because the intervention was ineffective or she wasn't helpful. It's because not everyone heals the same way. And when your skill set lacks range and some clients aren't able to respond or even like your main approach, that's going to present an issue. And when coaches heavily rely on what they like or what worked for them, clients unintentionally pay the price. Professional coaching requires both a variety of reliable tools that are proven to work and an ability to do them deeply, this depth of your practice. And inside of the Art and Skill of Coaching, we train coaches in both the hard and the soft skills. all grounded in psychology, but we also teach you a large variety of tools. They include cognitive and mindset coaching, which most people really enjoy. They include subconscious and identity work for your clients who are ready to do that type of deep coaching. We teach nervous system regulation and bring the body into the work and really help people embody the awareness and insights they're gaining. We talk about somatic practices that are proven to work for a variety of clients, and we give you a toolbox of up to 7. That way, if one doesn't work with a client, you have 6 more to pull from. We talk about individual coaching, group coaching, and how to be effective. We really train you on how to work with clients on every level from the brain to their body, so you're not guessing. You're showing up powerfully with a variety of tools that work. You're not defaulting to motivation. You're not over leveraging the relationship. You're not relying on being inspiring and leveraging your energy and motivating the client or being a one-trick pony, okay? This actually allows you to create consistent client results, run great sessions, groups, and events, deliver value regardless of how you feel, and build a sustainable and scalable practice, just like the greats. I mean, the greats in every industry can show up and deliver, not because they're always energized, but because they're skilled and they're well trained. I haven't watched it yet, and I'm actually, don't come for me, a Taylor Swift fan per se. I've never even listened to any of her music, but I have been seeing clips on Instagram about this documentary about her most recent tour, which has been one for the books for so many different reasons, but it is something that I can appreciate. I admire someone who's great at their craft regardless of what it is. And one of the things that's really impressing me about some of the clips I'm seeing is how well prepared she was, how she trained, and how she was able to still put on an amazing show regardless of what was going on behind the scenes, personally and professionally, where she would be crying before and after a show, but for 3 hours, absolutely put on a banger because she was well prepared, she was well trained, and she was skillful in her craft. If Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Jalen Hurts or anyone relied solely on their energy or their emotions to perform, they wouldn't be as elite as they are. And one more thing that I'll say that's a little unrelated but still important is, as a coach, you have to invest in yourself, your business, and your skill set. And if you've invested heavily in your own self-coaching and your transformation and in your marketing to get your business off the ground, but not in your actual coaching skills, in your actual craft, in your actual product or deliverable service, that might be the missing piece for you, because when you feel clear and confident in what you're doing, it will change everything. You will show up differently in your life. You will show up differently in your marketing. You'll show up different in your sessions, because when you feel self-assured that your offering is worth it and actually works and can help the client get their desired results, that's what creates clients. And that's what creates change, when you and the client believe in your coaching. So if it's time for you to invest in deepening your coaching toolbox, enrollment for our spring cohort of the Art and Skill of Coaching is officially open right now, but enrollment closes soon. Enrollment is a very short time period. There isn't a lot of space to get in there and apply and save your seat. But like I said, if you're wanting an actual coaching toolbox full of really juicy, tangible tools that are proven to work, this is the place for you. It is an advanced, comprehensive training designed to help you emerge as a professional coach, someone who can create real results consistently. And we won't open enrollment again until the end of the year. So if you're feeling called, apply now. Space is limited, and you'll find all the details to learn more and reserve your seat in the show notes. And as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you found today's episode helpful. If so, please leave us a review, hit 5 stars, share this podcast, and don't forget to hit subscribe so that you never miss another episode to help you master the art and skill of coaching.